In this video, we will look at the tasks required for the chairperson to agree the outcome framework and performance measures, for the main contact for that organization to submit the OBA report card at 6 months, and then finally for the chairperson to approve that OBA report card and governance declaration for submission to the Department for Communities. The development officer will have sent the OBA report card to the chairperson to agree the outcome framework and performance measures. The chairperson will be notified by email to log onto the system and complete the task available in the upcoming tasks menu. To complete the task, the chairperson clicks on the Agree Outcome Framework and Performance Measures button in the task column, which will display the application processing screen. On the right-hand side of the screen, the Activities tab can be found and is broken down into 3 sections. The To-Do section, with activities that need to be completed, a Done section, which will display activities once they are completed, and Not Applicable, for items that are not relevant to this step. To agree the outcome framework and performance measures, click the blue arrow button next to the Neighbourhood Renewal Project Report card, and the form will be displayed. The chairperson is brought to the index page of the form, which displays every section of the form. Click on any of the section titles to go to that section. Start with Section 1, Agreed Outcome Framework, and go through each section to review the outcome framework and performance measures set by your development officer. In Section 1, the development officer set the delivery outcomes in the area plan, which the project is expected to support directly. In Section 1, as read-only, you can see where the development officer has set the delivery outcomes in the area plan which the project is expected to support directly. This is followed by a question as to whether does the project include a strategy manager or technical assistance or NR coordinator post. From there, you can move through the outcome sections to see where the development officer has selected the relevant performance measures for each outcome. After reviewing the performance measures set by the development officer, you will come to Section 9, or Outcome 6, the Partnership tab. The chairperson must answer question 9.2, which is a yes/no question. Select yes if the chairperson agrees with the framework and performance measures as set by the development officer. Select no if the chairperson requires amendments to be made by the development officer to either the framework or performance measures. When no is selected, a text box becomes available to the chairperson to provide the changes requested from the development officer. In Section 9, after answering question 9.2, the chairperson can either save draft and continue for the last sections, which will bring the user to the form submission page, or simply click Save Draft and Exit, which will bring the user to the form submission page without going through the last sections. The last sections do not need to be completed at this stage. On the form submission page, click Yes, Submit Form Now. The Neighbourhood Renewal Project Card form is now completed and it has moved to the Done section of the Activities menu. Next steps. If the chairperson agrees the framework performance measures, click Send to Main Contact to complete OBA report card and governance declaration to send the application to your main contact. If the chairperson requires amendments, click Send back to DO, the development officer, to adjust outcome framework. After the DO adjusts the framework, the chairperson will be notified by email, and this stage will restart again to review and agree the framework and performance measures. For the purpose of this video, I would select Send to Main Contact to complete the OBA report card. And that has now left my task list, and my main contact will be notified by email that a task is in their task list to complete. The task to submit the OBA report card at 6 months is now with the main contact. To complete the task, the main contact clicks on the Agree Outcome Framework and Performance Measures button under the task menu, which will then display the application processing screen. On the right-hand side of the screen, the Activities tab can be found, and it is broken down into 3 sections. The To-Do section, with activities that need to be completed. The Done section, again with displays activities once they are completed, and then not applicable for items not relevant for this training. To submit the outcome framework and performance measures, click the blue arrow button next to the Neighbourhood Renewal Project Report card, and the form will be displayed. The user is brought to the index page of the form, which displays every section of the form. Click on any of the section titles to go to that section. To complete the form, start with Section 1 Agreed Outcome Framework and go through each section to add the relevant numbers, percentages, or values for the performance measures set by the development officer in agreement with the sector. Section 1 is disabled and can only be reviewed by the main contact. In Section 1, the development officer has set the delivery outcomes in the area plan, which the project is expected to support directly. Again, there is the yes/no question. Does the project include strategy manager or technical assistance or NR coordinator post? Click Save Draft to continue. Move to the next tab, Section 2, Outcome 1, Community Renewal. On each Outcome tab, first you will see the agreed performance measures. These are the performance measures set by the development officer and agreed by the chairperson. At this point, they are read-only. Then you will see a question about performance measures. Performance measures are numbers, values, percentages to be entered by the main contact for the relevant criteria, and only measures selected by the development officer are available to be filled out. If other measures become relevant as performance measures during the 6 months, these can be enabled by ticking the applicable checkbox, and that measure will be enabled. If any of the selected measures are no longer deemed relevant, tick the Not Applicable checkbox, and that measure will be disabled. The How well and Is anyone better off questions are enabled or disabled based on the performance measures above. Percentages are auto-calculated unless a statistically valid survey was used. See the red text on the left of the screen beneath each question. If we enter some values for performance measures, we can see how these drive calculations below. There is then a section for additional performance measures. These are applicable to projects that include a strategy manager or technical assistance or NR coordinator post only. We then move to Part 2, Section 2 of the form. Under each performance measure, what you did, provide a short description of the activities from which this data is drawn. Note here projects can also include links to their social media, e.g. YouTube, Facebook, etc. within that free text box. And then we have a question, the story behind the statistics. Provide qualitative evidence of impact or difference made. This might include changes in attitudes to personal or family health or changes in lifestyle. Section 9 includes the yes/no question again, agree outcome framework or performance measures, which is disabled as it has already been completed by the chairperson in the previous setup. Clicking Save Draft and Continue will move us through each of the outcome tabs. Again, Section 9, Outcome 6, Partnership. These have been disabled. They are read-only. Now we come to Section 10, Leveraged Funding. In Section 10, use this to describe any funding or investment from other sources leveraged in this period. After completing each source row, make sure to click the Add button to save the row in the table. Otherwise, the row will not be saved and the information will be lost. Once the delete button is displayed beside that row, it means that the specific row is now stored in the table and can be deleted as required to change or edit that source. Next, we press Save Draft and Continue to go to the final tab of the report card, the Governance Declaration Statement. The main contact needs to complete the Expenditure Update Table 11.1. When entering the expenditure to date against the annual expenditure profile, you can add comments on the overspend or underspend as required. There is a section for voluntary and community organizations only. If you select a yes value, a file upload question is displayed. Main contact has to include a screen print if available. If no, a text box is displayed and the main contact has to provide an explanation. We then move to question 11.3, Other Funders Update. Again, if a yes value is selected, a free text box is displayed and the main contact can provide details. Similarly, for the governance update, the yes value will present a text box for the main contact to provide additional details if required. The final question, 11.5, acceptance and declaration by a chairperson or a director of a statutory body. This question is disabled for the main contact and will be completed in the next stage by the chairperson or director of a statutory body. before submission. On completion of this section, the main contact can click Save Draft and Continue or Save Draft and Exit, both of which will bring the user to the form submission page. On the form submission page, click Yes, Submit Form Now. The Neighbourhood Renewal Project Card form is completed and has moved to the Done section of the Activities menu. You can now move to Next Steps. Click OBA Report Card Governance Declaration to Chairperson or Director for approval to send the OBA report card to your Chair or Director for approval. The task to submit the OBA report card has now left my task list or upcoming tasks as main contact. The chairperson will be notified by email to log into the system and look at their tasks. They will now have the task to approve the OBA report card and governance declaration. Logging in as the chair again, we can now see the Approve OBA report card in the upcoming task list for the chair. They can click on this button to display the application processing screen. Again, on the right-hand side in the Activities menu, we see split into 3 sections: To Do, Done, and Not Applicable. To agree the outcome framework and performance measures, click the blue arrow button next to the Neighbourhood Renewal Project card and the form will be displayed. The user is brought to the index page of the form, which displays every section of the form. You can, of course, click on any section to navigate through the form, but for approval, let's start with Section 1, Agree Outcome Framework, and go through each section to review the OBA report card and the governance declaration. Click Save Draft and Continue to look at Performance Measure 1, Outcome 1, Community Renewal. On each Outcome tab, scroll down to the Performance Measures. The chairperson can review the data entered by the main contact. The performance measures, numbers, values, and percentages for the relevant criteria. How much, how well, and is anyone better off? The chairperson can then review the data entered in the main contact, what you did, free text section, where a short description of the activities from which the data is drawn is described, and the story behind the statistics. Click Save, Draft, and Continue to move through each of the outcomes and review the information provided by the main contact. You will then come to Section 10, Leveraged Funding. Here, the chairperson can review again the data entered by the main contact. The leveraged funding is used to describe any funding or investment from other sources levered into this project in this period. Save, Draft, and Continue to move to the final tab, which is our governance declaration statement. Here, the chairperson can review the expenditure update provided by the main contact. And the information provided in answer to the voluntary community organizations question, other funders update, governance update. Final question, acceptance and declaration by the chair, which was read-only when this form was completed by the main contact, is now editable. You can provide a name, date of the chair and of the signing of the document. With the tick box, these are mandatory questions. On completion of the section, the chairperson can save draft and continue or save draft and exit, which will bring the user to the form submission page. On the form submission page, click Yes, Submit Form Now. The Neighbourhood Renewal Project Report Card form is completed and moves to the Done section. We can now look at next steps. Click Submit OBA Report Card and Governance Declaration to Development Officer for review to send the application to the Development Officer for review. If the Development Officer approves it, process is complete. If the Development Officer requests more information, the main contact will be notified by email with the changes required and the process restarts at slide 13. Note the task will then be called Edit the OBA Report Card and Governance Declaration, if an edit is required. That task has now left my task list as chair and returned to the Development Officer. That task has now left my task list as chair and returned to the Development Officer.